Yes, good afternoon, Miss Sidzur.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lodi.
How are you today, ma'am?
Pretty well, thank you. How about you,
Ah,
sir?
great, and a little bit dizzy because start teaching again. Okay. Um, First of all, thank you very much for your time to be interviewed about the dual reform in YPS General Schools related to integrating Cambridge curriculum in our national Merdeka curriculum and also the implementation of English as the medium of instructions. The interview will consist of four parts. Part one is about pedagogical strategies and instructional readiness. The objective is to evaluate the influence of the CPDP on actual classroom implementation of the Cambridge framework. And then part two is about linguistic competence and EMI confidence. The objective is, of course, to assess the impact of EDP on communicative confidence in an English only environment. And then part three, professional identity and self efficacy. The objective is to explore identity shifts and the internal impact of the dual reform. And then the last part is about assessment and evaluation challenges. The objective is to investigate how teachers navigate the double hurdle of assessing subject knowledge through a second language. Okay. First of all, what subject do you teach in YPS Singkole Junior High School, Miss Sizzle?
I teach English to seventh grade students.
Mm-mm. Okay.
Yeah, I got two classes. It's
Mm-mm.
kind of like heterogeny
I see.
classes.
I see.
Uh-uh.
Yeah. Okay. So how long have you been a teacher in SMP YPS Singkole?
It's almost 14 years, if I'm not
14
mistaken.
years. Wow,
Yeah.
it's quite an experience you have here. Okay, great. Uh, Now let's start with the part one, the
Okay.
pedagogical strategies and instructional readiness. So as we know, YPS General Schools have conducted regularly the teacher professional development program called the Cambridge Professional Development Program, either with Madania School and also with the Cambridge University
Yeah.
Press. Yeah. Uh-uh. Now, the first question is, since participating in the CPDP, how has your approach to lesson planning changed to align with the Cambridge active learning philosophy? Can you explain?
All right. Thank you for the question. So, to me, after joining the curriculum, the Cambridge Professional Development Program, my lesson planning has become more student centered.
Hmm.
Yeah. Before, mostly I focus on explaining the material just like in the old days. But now I try and I tend to involve students more through discussion and a lot of activities.
Yes, yes, yes. Can you give a specific example of a traditional activity that you have replaced with the Cambridge activity?
Okay. So the example in my classroom in the past, I tend to ask students to read some text and then answer questions individually. But now I tend to use group discussions or maybe like think pair share and then role play and
Mm.
presentation as well.
Oh, yeah.
So the students can explore the material together, not by themselves.
Yes, it's more engaging, yeah, more active, yeah, engaging, interactive. Okay, in what ways do you feel more prepared or perhaps less prepared to handle the specific demands of the Cambridge syllabus compared to before the training?
Okay. So I feel actually more prepared now because I understand better how to apply active learning in the classroom based on the Cambridge approaches. So implementing several techniques that already been taught during the CPDP, that's can make us as the teacher to be more prepared to implement the active learning methods in the classroom.
I see. Yeah. Can we wait for the mengaji finish?
Yeah, all right.
We just wait only 3 minutes. Yes.
It's done here.
Oh, it's done also. Okay. The second question about part one. When you encounter complex concept, yeah, in the Cambridge curriculum, how has the CPDP training influenced the way you scaffold the information for your students?
Okay, so we are talking about scaffolding, right?
Yeah. Mm,
Okay, when I teach complex concept, I break it down into smaller steps or
mm,
easier steps.
mm,
I usually combine like explanation with
mm.
examples and also visual support like realia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For instance, when I taught my students about action verbs regarding fashion items in their learner books right here,
Mm,
I didn't teach the vocabulary at once, but
mm,
I start the vocabulary learning by modeling the pronunciation, and then the students ask them to repeat after me, and then I give the context through several realia, the things that real things that I brought to the classroom. So I ask my students to guess the meaning of the verb while I demonstrate the action in front of the class, and then I ask them to guess the meaning based on the context, based on my demonstration, and then
mm,
yeah, afterwards after I ask them to guess the meaning or and the equivalence in bahasa, they actually understand it a much way faster rather than just memorizing vocabularies just like in the old days.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and finally, in learning the vocabulary through modeling, demonstration, or visual support like that, whenever I ask my students about the vocab, they say the vocab very well and they say it confidently. So I
Mhm,
thought that this method and giving scaffolding to students via demonstration, visual supports like Realia, it
mm,
will be very useful for them to better
mm.
understand the material, the complex concept.
Yeah, really is very important. Instead of just instead of explaining, you just show them
Yeah,
the thing, the real thing.
couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. Mhm.
Uh-huh. So, do you find the Cambridge resources provided during the CPDP sufficient for your daily instructional readiness?
Okay, for my daily need to teach in the classroom, I think these resources are more than enough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So since we
Oh,
have three books here, we have
you got three books.
yes, three books: the learner books, and then the workbook,
The
and
workbook
then the teacher's
and the
resources.
teacher's resources.
Yes,
You
I
don't
think
need
this
any
is
more lesson planning because you got
yes,
the
it's actually more than enough. And you know what,
very
Mr.
teacher
Roy?
friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in Cambridge.go, we have plenty of resources right there, including the digital resources. So actually, Cambridge already provided us with some
Mm,
digital slide
yeah.
regarding the material and then the exercises that we can adapt and we can use in the classroom apart from this textbook that they have provided.
Mm,
So it's actually really helpful, but yeah, sometimes I still need to adapt these resources to
of
match
course.
with my
Yeah.
students level and my students need,
Of course. Of course. Yes.
as well as uh, making it relevant to the curriculum target and the curriculum timeline.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. That's very nice. So let's go to the second part about the linguistic competence and the EMI confidence. So we know that since the beginning of 2025, right, YPS General School has run the English development program in order to boost the English proficiency of all teachers. And you are one of the facilitators, right?
Right.
In your opinion, how has the English development program changed the way you and your friends interact with students during spontaneous classroom discussions?
Okay. So the English development program really helped me and my colleges become more confident in
Mm,
using English in our classroom interaction,
mm, mm,
especially during the spontaneous discussion. And it's not only actually we tend to use English in the classroom, but also
mm.
in the meeting, during the meeting.
Oh,
Yeah, some of our colleges are more confident
mm,
to maybe still switch code,
mm.
translanguaging, but that's fine. I think that's really show that our EDP program has make us has become so fruitful and make us more confident in using English in our daily interaction at school.
Oh, it's good to hear that then. Do you feel that you have more linguistic flexibility now? Not only you, but you feel your friends also, do they have more linguistic flexibility now? The ability to
Yes.
explain a concept in different ways in English? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, Mr. Lodi. Now this is to me, to myself, I feel more flexible. I can explain one idea in different ways, like using simpler words or
Mhm.
more simple sentence, giving
Yeah.
examples or analogies, as well as my colleges. When I observe the presenter during the English sharing program or CLIL, the presenter from the other subjects teacher uh, tend to be more flexible as well in explaining their ideas. For example, in the Lion class in EDP program, whenever the presenter maybe they got stuck, they got blank to say one word, they don't know the word in English, they will try to explain it in different words or different sentence or different analogies, as long as the audience understand what they say.
Right.
Maybe they also demonstrate with gesture, hand gesture,
I
or
see.
something like that.
It seems that they avoid to code switch, right? They try to explain it first, paraphrase
Yeah,
it first,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what I observe.
Plan C. If they can, if they get blank about explaining and just code switch it.
Yeah. But
So it,
sometimes they ask what to say this in English, just like
oh,
that. So yeah, I think flexibility in using English in presenting something is really beneficial, and we still cannot avoid translanguaging and code mixing in our daily interaction, whether with our colleges or with our
yeah.
students.
Of course, of course, of course. Uh, okay. Can you describe a moment recently where you felt particularly confident or perhaps still struggle while delivering a complex technical explanation in English?
Okay. Well, recently, I my students learned about occupation.
Occupation.
Okay, the material is about occupation. So first thing first, I always try to start the material with vocabulary building first. So uh, another strategy that I use to teach my students vocabulary building, apart from demonstration, modeling, giving visual aid like that, I also explain the occupation vocabulary quite confidently by just like told in the textbook. So if we don't use the visual aid, maybe we can include the definition of the word. So yeah, I ask the students to match between the name of the occupation and then the definition of the job, so that they can at least um, they can try with the most familiar word that they have ever heard in their daily life. So and then when they have started, they succeed to start with the easiest word. They can choose the other word until the rest of the vocabulary already finished, just like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, the teacher, me as a teacher, should be confident and should give clear and contextual example to the students. And then another way to incorporate the strategies is by asking the students to rephrase my explanations, to rephrase when I ask them to rephrase their explanation. And for me, I also sometimes have to rephrase what I said when I
Yeah.
see that they don't get what I say, just
Yeah.
like that.
Of
So
course.
yeah, for the EDP, I think it's really helped me to enhance my vocabulary and how I explain things to my students.
Yes. 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 So that's the way EDP specifically prepare you for that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
As well as also for your friends that it's going to explain something in CLIL or in the SPRO. Yeah. Now, what about the? Let's talk about the code switch. So, to what extent, so how often do you or your friends still need to code switch? Because in the first place, you said that they tend to avoid the code switching, but they try to explain it in words, yeah, about the word that they don't understand. They don't automatically code switch. It seems that it's not too often they code switch. What do you think?
To me, code switching is still sometimes be used by me as well and my colleagues. So I think translanguaging and code switching in English and Bahasa
Mm,
is still necessary to be done,
mm,
especially when the concept or the thing that we want to say is quite difficult or
right.
quite complicated. So I think we can incorporate or apply code switching in this term just to make our listener or the students really understand what we said.
Mm. In terms of the students' needs, yeah.
Yeah.
But when you are talking to each other with your colleagues, then your colleagues uh, tends to paraphrase it into other words. But when you talk with the students or students talks to you, it is allowed to code switch, of course.
Yeah, I think so, sir, because yeah, I think code switching is kind of like scaffolding as well for our
Yes.
students,
Yes.
especially when the students don't have the same level of English proficiency. So
In- uh,
yeah, um, yeah, most of my students in the heterogeneous class, they come from A1 level,
really?
maybe novice. So yeah, I think when I give the instruction or I explain the lesson in English and then I see their face, they show me the confused face. I I have to code
Yeah,
switch,
of
or at
course.
least I have to translate what I said into Bahasa so that they can
Yeah.
understand what I say.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Okay, let's move to part three, the professional identity and the self-efficacy. Ah, so with the simultaneous shift to a new curriculum and to a new language of instructions, how do you define your role? Do you see yourself primarily as a subject expert, a language teacher, or a facilitator?
Well, now I see my role more as a facilitator and also a language model for my students.
Okay.
At first, it was quite challenging because I had to focus both on content and language itself.
Yes.
But yeah, over time, it actually increased my motivation and confidence as a teacher, how to develop myself to have these two roles at the same time, as
Yeah, yeah,
facilitator and the language model.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, I can see that. So now, how has this dual demand affected your overall confidence, your self-efficacy as an educator? See? You teach in international curriculum. You teach English with Cambridge curriculum. Of course, that bring you affect you some confidence or prestige. What do you think?
Okay. Well, I think for to me, I see this as a positive development.
Okay.
Teaching with Cambridge curriculum gives me a more professional image, I
Uh,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah. At the beginning, I did feel like a beginner again, but now I feel teaching Cambridge curriculum has added some values to my professional identity. So I take it as a challenge and positive development for me to myself.
I see. So you did feel as a beginner again, yeah, as a
Yeah, because
novice
I
again,
have to learn a lot of things.
especially with the curriculum.
Yes,
I
exactly.
see. And at the same time, it what is it? It adds the sense of prestigious things
Yeah.
as your identity.
Professional image.
Yeah, professional image. Yeah, okay, right. Now, has the move to the Cambridge or EMI framework changed the way how you feel about you are perceived by your colleagues, your friends at school, or your school leaders at
Okay.
YPS, SMP YPS?
I think they have the same view as mine. I think
Mhm,
my colleges and my school leaders
mhm.
see this shift, see this transformation and change as a positive development.
Okay.
And they, especially our leaders, tend to encourage us in a daily basis that we cannot go back. We still have to move on and keep forward.
I remember that phrase.
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, since we kind of like have a positive environment, so we see this as a positive development,
Oh,
hopefully, and it will
yes.
lead to that development.
Yes, that's the same expectation that we have. Yeah,
I
right.
mean,
The last part is about assessment and evaluation challenges, of course. When a student performs poorly on an assessment, do you determine if they didn't understand because of the subject matter or if they simply struggle with the English language? Which one do you think?
okay, so when students get low scores, I try to check whether is it the concept or the language. Sometimes when I'm curious whether they are get low in the concept or the language, I ask them to explain orally with
Mhm.
their own word,
Okay.
or I simplify the question and then ask them to respond the more simple question and to see their real understanding.
Mhm. Simplify the questions and ask them to orally explain about the
Yes,
concept. Yeah, that's the
exactly.
strategy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. It's fair enough for them. When you simplify the questions, it will be easier for them to understand. It's supposed
yeah,
to be like that.
yeah.
Uh-uh. Okay. So how has the EMI environment changed the way you graded the open-ended or the essay style questions? Because open-ended and essay style need students to explore, explain the questions, right?
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Okay, for the essay questions, I focus on the content first.
Okay.
If their idea or the students' answers are correct, I I'm not totally grammar Nazi that have to penalize or the grammar thing,
Okay.
but
That's
yeah,
fair enough, yeah?
yeah, I still give feedback on their
Okay.
language, maybe
You
the
still give
verb,
feedback, yeah, on
the
the grammar
writing as
thing.
well. Yes, as well as the writing because for the seventh grade students, they are still learning from the very beginning, from the very basic level. So,
Yeah.
including the writing, I have to give them the feedback, even
What?
though their content answer is correct. But I have to tell them the feedback regarding their maybe the sentence structure, the writing as well.
But you
So they
don't penalize totally on the grammar.
no, no, not no, not sir. So yeah. pay attention to the content first, and
Yes.
then maybe for the grammar mistake is quite need to be identifiable. So I just give them the feedback, the
Mm,
oral feedback. Maybe sometimes I write down the correction of their mistakes in their writing.
yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, I try to balance both
Yeah.
content and grammar thing in my
Yes.
assessment.
Uh-huh. Okay. Now, what is the single biggest challenge that you face when trying to meet the Cambridge assessment standards while teaching totally in English as a second language?
Okay, talking about the biggest challenge, I think my biggest challenge is balancing between the content understanding and the students' English ability.
Okay.
Sometimes my students understand the topic, the materials, but they struggle. They find it difficult to express it in English
Okay.
due to their various English proficiency level,
Mm,
as I said just now,
yeah.
and this will eventually affect their performance, especially
Mm,
when the assessment comes to speaking or a presentation assessment.
yeah.
So yeah, the challenge is how to make these two balance the
Mm.
content understanding as well as the English ability of the students.
Okay. Okay. Great then. And this is the last questions. If you could recommend what is the one change that you are going to recommend uh, to how YPS General School supports the teachers during the dual reform, what would be your recommendation for YPS?
Okay. Can I only have one or more than one?
If you have more than one, but the question is
Yeah,
only
okay.
one.
All right.
Recommend one change.
One change. Okay. If I could suggest one improvement, maybe I would recommend more continuous training for the teachers.
More continuous training.
Yes, especially the workshop, the practical workshop on how to implement in the classroom the teacher's resource, the workbook, the learner's book within the very limited time of the curriculum. Because as you know, apart from the curriculum, we also have co-curriculum and extracurricular activities
Yes.
that really
Yes.
sometimes overlapping
Yes,
with
yes, yes,
the
yes, yes.
main
Totally
area.
takes
So
time.
yeah, we need the practical workshop to overcome this problem
Yeah,
that usually happen every academic year, especially in
yeah.
the second term, where we have the very limited time, but we've got a very huge
Mhm,
a huge
mhm.
activities at school. Yeah, and
Sure.
apart from practical workshop regarding the how to implement the resources of Cambridge in the classroom, maybe another workshop for teachers that can be beneficial for us is workshop on the Cambridge assessment and teaching strategies. I mean, like, yeah, the practical one, not only the theoretical ones, and
Yeah, of course.
also
Yeah.
the workshop, the training how to improve teachers' English fluency for classroom use. Yeah,
Okay,
that's all.
okay, okay then. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Zizur. I got
Pleasure.
so much information from you. Hopefully, your information maybe or might be beneficial not only for me, not only for you, but also for
Me.
YPS.
I mean,
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very
my
much for your
pleasure.
time. Wish you all the best.
Wish you all the best, sir.
Yeah,
Hope
thank
you have a
you.
very good health
Goodbye.
today. Thank you very
Yeah,
much, Mr. Lodi.
yes, thank
Goodbye.
you. Goodbye.